99 Days of Christmas, day number X. You don't have to be your own generation, your own age. You can execute business as if you were 20 years older than you are. That's day X of the 99 Days of Christmas. You can be Gen Z to Gen X. You can literally skip Y and just go right to X. That's day X of the 99 Days of Christmas. There's a book, How to Get Clients, written by Jeff Slutsky. He talks about being a 40-year-old as a 19-year-old. Am I paste copying this directly from John Wooden, where people asked him, why do you win so many national championships? His answer in his John Wooden coaching pyramid can be summed up to say this: I take sophomores and I put a junior or a senior brain inside of a second year student, a sophomore. That's what we're doing on day X of the 99 Days of Christmas here on X, is pretending to be old so that way we can make quadragenarian money. Let's start by not acting as if we're successful. This is a checkbox check for acting as a Gen Xer. 1. Stepping towards a new destiny via independence. What is a Gen Xer? A Gen Xer is a person, an entire generation of people whose parents made them do independent things via latchkey kid protocol. Latchkey kid is where you just give your kid a key to come home after school and then be independent. We're not going to just say, oh, be slightly more independent. We are going to go through some meditation exercises to be slightly more okay with being alone. That also means not touching your phone all the time. And so, do you see how these are steps towards a new destiny by looking at temporarily being alone as not being shameful, where we are not just okay with being alone, but we are thriving while being alone. Which leads us to the next specific and succinct point via our entrepreneurship stepping towards a new destiny by doing not group activities for entrepreneurship, but via solo activities within entrepreneurship. And is this lecture number 1 of a class called How to Start a Startup by Sam Altman, where he talked about B. James Bond. That's exactly what that means. When you're in a class of Stanford University students that are 18 to 23 years old, and you're telling people to be James Bond, James Bond's like a 50-year-old. So definitely middle, late 40s. That's what day X of the 99 Days of Christmas is, telling sophomores at Stanford University to be James Bond. That's what they do teach you at Y Combinator, but don't explain to you at Y Combinator, is be James Bond. Be an old person trapped, invigorated in a young person's body. What would James Bond do as an entrepreneur? He wouldn't wait for 3 co-founders to have the perfect energy and vibe in order for them to begin execution. No. James Bond would go be an assassin and move ahead aggressively with execution and on pace and tempo of a person who executes fast because he's James Bond. He doesn't need to build a perfect entourage of two co-founders, of one co-founder. So if you've got a co-founder and they didn't really spend a whole lot of time doing entrepreneurship shiitake during Christmas, you're not being a Gen Xer. You're not doing entrepreneurship by yourself with a perfectly in tune, a non-employee co-founder. So Gen Xers are great at networking with boomers because a boomer is your non-employee co-founder. So you're trying to be the seasoned executive whisperer by trying to get a boomer to not just give you money, but to give you advice. Do you see how you're conjuring up a non-employee co-founder boomer by not just making fun of a boomer, you're trying to merge and acquire the boomer's brain and literally incorporating, making into a corporeal body with you as the leader, with you as the chairman, with you as the CEO, with you as president, while also being an intern who works super fast solo. So by incorporating the boomer energy and more likely now the boomer money, you now have recruited hashtag non-employee co-founder. So there's a sweet spot in generation where somehow Gen X is the only generation that can fix a computer, operate a computer, yet also be okay with not having their smartphone run their brain. My phone's not so smart, it's really just breaking my brain. Okay, so your phone's kind of hurting you. That's not good because as a day X of the 99 Days of Christmas, you want to have an income and wealth like you're a boomer. Where boomer people have wealth, and this is the checkbox check of how do I go from Gen Z, Gen Next, Gen Alpha to Gen X on day X of the 99 Days of Christmas. Specifics on what to do is it's accelerated networking. In the same way that the sunrise video is, oh my God, why would you wake up so early? That's what accelerated networking is at breakfast during a conference that's a technology conference. You don't have to just network with people that are at your age plus or minus 8 months. I'm not even joking. Like, why are all your friends your age maximum plus or minus a year? Do you have even one friend that's 4 years older than you? You don't. That's what accelerated networking does, is you practice trying to get a friend who's 2 to 7 years older than you, so that way you can start doing business with people that are 2 to 4 decades older than you. That's accelerated networking. The reason for accelerated networking is that you want accelerated income. And if the people that are plus or minus 9 months of your age maybe aren't doing so well, or are doing okay, or are average, this is what accelerated money is via accelerated networking, which is bonding with people that are 2 decades older than you. This is right back to John Wooden with how would John Wooden teach computer science, startup, entrepreneurship, best practices at Stanford University if he had a CS degree from the University of Illinois. Do you see how being a student athlete meshes perfectly and nicely? And since we're talking about being a student athlete, there's a student athlete that's in Miami from Arizona State University That is Shelby Haas-Boz. Shelby Haas. Just call her Shelby Haas. She sells. That's very quadragenarian, which is talking about how Saturday is for psychopaths. And doesn't this Friday feel a little bit like it's the 9th Saturday in a row because it's Christmas vacation? Day number X, 99 Days of Christmas. Good job. Good job listening all the way through. God, what a good video that was. What else did Gen X do? This is the bonus content. Gen X moves in and out of generations with ease. Meaning, a Gen X can be a boomer, income-wise, in a board meeting by saying stuff like, God, Warren, you look well. Old people who are rich, the only thing they care about is what their face looks like. Whether it's healthy looking or not healthy looking. Because what your face looks like, that's what the inside of your digestive tract looks like. That's octogenarian whispering. That's seasoned executive whispering. That's vagina whispering. And so Gen Xers on day X of the 99 Days of Christmas moves in and out of generations super well. Also, if you're rich, you end up spending money to try to stay healthy. And so the healthier you look, the more you look like a 20-year-old because you're trying to stay super healthy. Being independent. Being okay with the 1099 economy. It's called the 5-way for a reason. 5-way proprietorship. Why is it a 5-way proprietorship? Because you're expecting the 4 other people that are working with you to flake. That's what day X of the 99 Days of Christmas is when you start a company with 2 people or 4 people or you're the 5th co-founder, expect everybody else to quit because people are just that distracted and that much of a pussy, right? And so the 1099 economy is a 5-way proprietorship of everybody has skin in the game, but people potentially are going to forfeit their sweat equity. So why even incorporate when you can just do a 5-way proprietorship, a decentralized corporation? Like, it's been decentralized for a couple hundred years and people just don't realize it. The 1099 economy is what happens when you're also a shared ride operator. What a good nose blow. The 1099 economy is also Stepping Towards a New Destiny, chapter 15. That book costs $13. And in the 1099 economy, you are spending $12 one time and you're trying to sell 9 books for $80. $9, $80, you're trying to make $720. First you sell it, then you buy it. $80? What? There's no way I could sell Joe Dispenza's book for $80. Door to door. Knocking on a door in a house, that's aggressive. Going breakfast table to breakfast table, not that aggressive. So, do you see how I'm taking door to door in the day X of the 99 Days of Christmas? Going door to door residentially is for psychopaths. For entrepreneurs, we're going to go similar to door. We're going to go breakfast table to breakfast table. we're going to go dinner table to dinner table asking, do you want to buy a Joe Dispenza book for $80? It's like selling pest control. This is lecture 2 right after you sell one thing on eBay, which is a paracord, Braun paracord, part number 7030458. I'm not going to post the details on down below because I'm going to expect you to write down that part number and then sell that part number and then buy that part number. You're going to sell it for $85. You're going to buy it for under 30. Do you see what we're doing here? We're selling it first and we're buying it. 703 0458. 703 0458. Day X, 99 Days of Christmas. Sunrise Videos, what they don't teach at Y Combinator, which is to be James Bond. She sells Shelby Haas. Dinner table to dinner table, bar high top table to bar high top table that mimics door to door sales. We're going to be selling Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, for $80. My buddy Jeff sells it on his website for under $15. Amazon. So every time you sell a copy for $80, you will then buy it for $15. Ditto lecture number 1 of how do we get ROI for January 2nd, 2025 with Shelby Haas before we go to spend $2,000 on tuition. Well, you'd feel a lot better if you were cash flow positive for that Miami sales conference. She sells, right? This is how, is by having a book club. Did you just say book club? I don't read books. I'm more of an audiobook kind of person. This is Gen X. Gen X actually knows how to read. And let's say that there are some Gen Xers who have gotten a broken brain. This is you as a Gen Zer mentoring Gen X to join your book club for $80. Do you see how great this video is? I think it's great because I wrote it out, I visualized it, and like Hal Elrod, this is not a morning meditation, which it is, but it's a morning shared meditation for how we get to visualize and exercise while scribing and meditating. Did we just check off a ton of the savers checklist? We kind of did. While also exercising lecture number 1 and 2 in a video series that you guys have not investigated because, or maybe you have. That's also a Gen X technique, is investigating things in a positive light. You can investigate things in a negative light, in which case you would find negative things, but then be like, oh, he's a fraud. Or you can investigate things and be like, oh my God, he's a genius. So remember, people called Tesla, Einstein, and Elon Musk fraud. Whereas you could just investigate those things to be like, oh my God, Larry Chang's working on incredibly genius things that don't cost me any money. These are awesome. Which is book club, $80. You and one person. Initially, just solo yourself. Start a book club with one person, which is you and 2 copies of Joe Dispenza's book. One you get from the library, one you actually own and then right up. You have 2 copies of the same book. Now, you sit there at a nightclub with 2 copies of the same book. Here I am. I'm all by myself in a nightclub. No cowboy hat because you don't have any balls. And I've got 2 copies of a book. I'm not touching my phone. No phone. I'm just sitting there. You could do it in a lobby of a hotel during a conference. I'm just sitting there with 2 copies of the book. We're going to pretend this is Joe Dispenza's book. This is Stephen Blank's book. We're just sitting there. We're just sitting there. And hot women will cold open us. Talk about some Jedi stuff for door-to-door sales. This is door-to-door sales as if a Jedi named Larry Chang is doing it. Oh, excuse me. Is that your book? Are you talking to me? I'm not Stephen Blank. And you don't even look at the book cover. You just look at them like, I'm not the legendary professor from Stanford University, Columbia University, and Cal, Steve Blank. That's not me. Oh, then why do you have 2 copies of the same book? That's what everybody's thinking. Everybody's thinking, why do you have 2 copies of the book? Me? I went to the Super Bowl parties with 3 copies of Joe Dispenza's book, and women were just throwing vagina at 99 miles per hour at me. Oh, I love Joe Dispenza. Are you Joe Dispenza? I am not Joe Dispenza. I am Larry Chang. Well, do you know Joe Dispenza? I know that Becoming Supernatural is an amazing book. Have you thought about spending $5,000 to go to a conference? Yes, I have. I've been to 5 of them. Wait a minute. You've been to 5 Joe Dispenza conferences and you asked me if I'm Joe Dispenza? Well, my vagina was just so wet that my brain got confused and all the blood was in my pussy. Okay. Feels like I can sell you a book now for $80. This is like a booth, a sales conference booth where the booth has left the expo hall. This is like doing a pop-up booth at the front lines of Putty. This is like doing an office on the middle of the dance floor. If these analogies aren't making you incredibly giggly, are you even a hot-blooded heterosexual trying to both make money and make babies? Maybe you should set aside sexing and focus on day X of the 99 days of Christmas, because we need to stop saying AI. It's just CS skills. That's what Gen X says. Sell me this pen. Oh my God. This is genius stuff. Be the sweet spot. Pretend to be older than you are and younger than you are. It's maturity. Are you an old soul? Mentorship. Can you cite a boomer? If you're Gen Z, can you cite a Gen Xer? Can you get a homogenized business uniform? That's what Gen X does, is they always look like they're both simultaneously at work, going to a board meeting, and on vacation. That's their work uniform. Why did my yoga? What did my younger self need? This is right out of Shelby Haas She Sells. What did my younger self need? These are all the things that my younger self needed, which is why I am a fan of the Gen Xer Jeff Slutsky, How to Get Clients. He doesn't quite do the door-to-door, breakfast table to breakfast table, dinner table to dinner table. office to dance floor protocol, but this is super similar in how to get clients before Shelby she sells January 2nd $3,000 tuition that you're going to self-fund using Book Club. Wow. Day X, 99 Days of Christmas, probably one of the best days of the 99 days. Day X of the 99 Days of Christmas here on X. Three-way with Larry in the middle. Three-way book club. Three-way book club. Five-way proprietorship. 1099 economy, which is incorporating a five-way. And then instead of a three-way with sex or a five-way with sex, we're doing 3 girls, 1 Larry, 1 book. And we all read for 5 minutes, and it's called Reading Roulette. And you take an item of clothing off if you're the one who interrupts the reading. So it's Reading Roulette. It's a sexual game where nobody has sex, and people read for 5 uninterrupted minutes per inning. And you play 15 innings, 4 minutes each. Super fun. Reading Roulette. Reading Roulette. Reading Roulette.